Hey guys, this is Sam, your Urban Horticulture Program Assistant. Today I'm going to give you guys some information that you're going to be using for the plant propagation module, and especially for making new plants from stem cuttings. So the plant you guys are going to be receiving for this exercise is called Okinawa spinach. This is a perennial vegetable from Southeast Asia. It's widely consumed in Japan and Taiwan. The leaves are edible, as well as the tender growing tips. And actually, the way this plant is sold in Southeast Asian markets is it's usually, the tips are usually cut and bunched together, and it can be eaten whole. You can also harvest individual leaves. You can also use it for stir fry. The flavor is pretty strong, so it's often recommended to mix it up with some other leafy greens. And just a couple of quick terms for propagating from stem cuttings. So the stem cutting is literally going to be a piece of the plant. Typically you want to go for something that's around 6 inches, but the most important thing to look for is the nodes. The nodes are going to be the key thing that are going to allow us to have a successful cutting. So when you're doing a stem cutting, you want a piece of the plant that has at least 4 or 5 nodes. So we'll go ahead and count here. And on this Okinawa spinach plant, it's starting to flower up here. I'm going to just pretend that that's not there. I'm not going to count these nodes up here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a pretty good stem cutting. And when you're cutting the stem cutting off of the parent plant, you want to make sure that you're clipping right above that top node of the mother plant. That way you're not leaving any of the stem left over, because all growth is going to cease at this point, and it would just die and weaken the mother plant. Okay, so we've got our stem cutting. So you guys are going to be receiving the Okinawa spinach in this form. One way to keep it fresh for later use is to take a moist paper towel. You're going to wrap the cutting in the moist paper towel. And then you're going to take that and put it in a plastic zip bag. Seal it. This is going to keep the moisture in, and put it in the refrigerator. You want to make sure this is going to be refrigerated. If you just left it out on your counter or anywhere where heat could accumulate, it could actually rot. Okay, so once you're ready to use your stem cutting, you're going to take it out of the Ziploc bag. And you're going to prepare your rooting media. So you guys should have received a small fabric bag and also some perlite. You're going to be receiving a bag of perlite. So you're going to want to start by filling the bottom third of the fabric pot with perlite. Then you're going to take your stem cutting, and you're going to start by removing the leaves on the bottom nodes. This plant, you just want to remove all that leafy material on the bottom nodes. This is going to make it easier to insert the plant, and if we were to insert those leaves into the rooting media, they would actually just rot. They're no longer receiving any light, so they would die. So we're going to remove the nodes from the leaves from the bottom, and then you're left with a cutting that has no leaves on the bottom nodes and leaves on the top. We're actually going to remove these flowers. So if your cutting has any flowers, you definitely want to remove them. And remember, I'm going to cut above the node. Okay, so now we have this leafy stem cutting. But we're not done. We have to remove more of the leaf area. A good rule of thumb is you want to remove about 2/3 of the total leaf surface area. This is going to help the cutting to conserve moisture. So in this case, you don't have to be too complicated with it. I'm just going to cut these leaves in half. The end result's going to be something that looks kind of like a little flag. So you're going to take the cutting, place it in your fabric pot, and then I'm going to take my coconut core. You can use it, or I'm sorry, the perlite. You can use a spoon, and I'm just going to pour it around the cutting. Some plants are easier to root than others, and you've probably heard of using rooting hormone. That is a good thing to use, but for this plant, it's really easy to propagate from cuttings, and we're not going to need rooting hormone. So once you have your cutting in the rooting media, you're going to go ahead and moisten it. Water it from the top with the perlite in this case. Get it nice and wet. And then you're going to put it in a dish or in a tray. You can allow that excess water to drain into the tray. And then you're going to want to put it in an area of the house or on your porch that gets sunlight, but not direct sunlight. Again, this plant no longer has roots, so we want to put it in an area that's going to be not hot. So I've got a windowsill here. This, for example, would be a perfect location, or even on the table. It's getting indirect light, and in about 2 or 3 weeks' time, you're going to notice root formation at the bottom of the fabric pot. At that point, you can step the plant up into a larger pot or plant it in the garden. Let me see. The roots are, in order for root formation to occur, you need to make sure that it's not too wet, but that it does still remain moist. So just observe the plant. It's okay to have a little bit of water in the dish or tray at the bottom. That's going to help prevent it from desiccating. All right, and that's preparing your stem cutting.